why I am so against dynastic Congress is that when there should have been discipline inculcated, cleanliness, toilets, when all this should have been done post independence, all that didn't happen. Instead, what happened was one after the other, the focus remained how to keep this within the family. This is my biggest grouse, and it continues till today. In a democracy, for 4 generations you have given prime ministers, have the grace to sit out now, yeah. Let other people have the grace to do that. Meri family has been given the privilege and honor by this country for 3-4 generations to lead. Take a break. You can do whatever else you want.
Sonia Gandhi sat out.
But come on.
No, but this is a great way to segue. This clarity is why I guess that you have so many fans as well. You showed this clarity also when you tweeted about the Ram Mandir. At that time, it was not a lot of people would come out on Twitter or come out on any other public space for that matter and acknowledge कि यार उनकी जो thought process है, it evolved, it changed. I think you were the first person of note I can think of who actually said that you thought of the Ram Mandir and Ayodhya. Your feelings were completely different.
But if you read it properly, it said that sacrifice, that even that time...
You sacrificed the Ram Lalla.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's something that even at that time, the feeling, and I think a lot of people will agree with this, and a lot of people agreed with that thing which I wrote also, is that time the feeling was, for peace, if we don't do this also, it's okay, let's have peace.
Okay, I'm going to interrupt, sorry. For those who are not on Twitter, I'm going to read out what Ranvir had tweeted then. It was a note actually. He said, I was one of the many Hindus who were willing to sacrifice the temple at Ayodhya and have a monument or a hospital in its place just so we can end this long-standing conflict between communities. Today I feel ashamed that I was willing to sacrifice righteousness at the altar of peace, ashamed that I didn't stand up for Maryada Purushottam Shri Ram and his values. I was one of the many Hindus who was willing to sacrifice the temple at Ayodhya and have a... So this is what you had said. And I agree because I felt the same way.
Guilt tripping that happens against Hindus by Islamists and people of other religions. कि यार इतना तुम लोगों ने किया इतना कि अब ये करना है. It's basically classic guilt tripping.
By who?
By, as I said, by Muslims, by Islamists, because people are overwhelmingly ignorant about what goes on in their minds. They are able to exploit and say, look, we are absolutely pious and pure. You will never hear any discrimination or anything from us. These are the people who've been discriminated against, discriminating. So you are the ones who should be guilty. Classic case.
नहीं, तो आप Islamist का नाम लेते हो या who else did you say second?
People of other religion basically.
No, so I am saying this. I again pin the blame on the political dispensation. Why? Because अब आप देखो उसमें push and pull देखो. For example, अभी भी आप ले लो भारत जोड़ो यात्रा. You go to every region and say you are your own people. We believe in federalism. Your identity is your identity. But you call the yatra Bharat Jodo Yatra. So this is a classic pull and push thing which Congress has been using for decades to stay in power. And I mean the dynastic Congress. Same thing happened with the Ram temple also. If you remember जो पहले 48 में 47 में जो हुआ, that then after that it was the Congress government where the doors were opened.
86.
Yeah.
That was to placate the Hindus, ironically, because that was right after the Shah Bano judgment.
उसके बाद अरुण नेहरू पे सारा blame कर दिया कि उसकी वजह से.
So if you see, you will find this constantly with them to keep the cracks alive, keep the cracks going. And then say only we can keep this together.
But to come back to your tweet, the reason it got so much of heft also is, one, of course, you were absolutely, Pardarshi as
It takes a lot of courage, by the way,
to say
that,
because
because people from across the fence, both sides.
Yeah.
Of course, overwhelmingly you were trolled by the Darbaris and the leftists. but there were some right wingers as well who said ये तो U-turn मार गया अब ये देखो.
No, but then what he said is exactly what I felt. Because that Ayodhya, now it is so beautiful. It is unrecognizable. That area, they never used to allow garbage trucks to come. उस टाइम ट्रक भी नहीं होता था. That छोटा वाला जो क्या Mazda vans होते ना.
Right.
Those छोटा vans, even those were not allowed because of the fear that उसमें explosives अंदर चली जा सकती हैं and they can blow up the Ramlalla who was in a tent at that time, right? So even garbage trucks were not allowed. So you had open sewage, you had overflowing sewage, you had people living in absolute filth condition and telling us that हम क्या करें? Was it our fault that the Babri Mosque was pulled down? Was it our fault that the Ram Mandir has not been built? हमारी क्या गलती है जो हम यहाँ रह रहे हैं? We can't leave this place because now nobody will buy this area. But what is our fault? And so I was like, build whatever you want to build, but खत्म करो ये dispute यार.
But that's one thing I like about Modi ना. He is ending these long-standing conflicts. अब तुम उसके बाद कोई रोएगा, कोई हंसेगा, वो तो होना ही था कि उस वहाँ पर क्या बन जाता कि कोई नहीं रोता. कुछ अगर आप मस्जिद बना ले खुद कोई रोता, अगर हॉस्पिटल बना ले कोई रोता, अगर आप मंदिर बना दे कोई रोता. बट ये चैप्टर तो खत्म हो गया ना.
Click here to watch the full episode.